Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to the Intuitive Healing channel on Gift of Healing TV. And I am delighted to be joined by Colette Van Heerden. Colette, thank you for coming and joining us today.
No, a big thank you to you, and thank you again for the opportunity. It is appreciated.
And the topic of our conversation today is Earthbody. And the other part of that title is, what is it? Which I'm sure most of you are thinking, well, what is it? So that's what we're here to talk about. But before we get started on that, let's read Colette's bio for you. And yes, I am reading this, folks. I don't remember anything. I certainly don't learn words by heart. Colette is the power support and general manager of Earthbody. She helps others through her intuitive guidance, offering a change in perspective along with emotional support to customers that purchase Earthbody readings. Additionally, Colette manages all PR, social media, and website content for Earthbody. She enjoys having conversations about Earthbody and more, sharing her experiences, knowledge, and perceptions. It's me reading things that's not there. Of the world around us, while building others up in their own empowerment. Colette has many interests that fuel her sharing and nurturing nature: alternative modalities, astrology, Mother Earth, transformation, healing, spirituality, Mother Nature, nutrition, women's health, conscious birth, and parenting, and much more. Mm-hmm. Available directly to customers, Colette uses her understanding and interpretation of Earthbody and its readings so that customers who need assistance have an enthusiastic and caring person to turn to. Colette, thank you. I've never been the best of readers.
That's absolutely fine. Thank you for those kind words.
Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us to share about Earthbody. But what I'd really love you to do, please, is share a little of your story and then how that links to how you got involved with Earthbody.
All righty, this is a different spin on things. Okay, I would say I've possibly been in the alternative, weird and wacky, esoteric world since I was about 18 or 19 already. I claim gratitude to my parents for not having given me a set religion that I was kind of boxed or fixed into. So I was always allowed an open mind in kind of formalizing my own spiritual connection, take a little bit of this, and basically just responding to whatever I came across and either feeling it or not feeling it. So 18, I was already training up in body alignment. A lot of the courses I've done along the way have almost been food for myself. None of them have developed into a set practice. But yes, I've done my Reiki 1 and 2. I've done everything from massage. So I've worked a bit on the physical healing, the intuitive healing, done a lot on reflexology and aromatherapy, a whole lot of interest in channeling and going through to group channelings that were done by a lady in South Africa who channeled Katumi. That became quite a big part of my life for a long time. Just really beautiful love and wisdom kind of teachings that sort of supported almost every part of my life and interest. There was always food for thought there. And also I just grouped with fabulous people. And one of them was Salome. So along the way of lots of exposure to different modalities, playing around with oracle cards and crystals and earthwork and the elements and symbology. When we got together as groups, because we had so many different individuals, everyone brought a little bit of their own magic to the table. And that in itself was food for thought and food for my soul. And Salome was a standout for me. And in my personal growth, both sort of personal interactions, but also the earth interactions is kind of what drew me to Salome in the abundance and wow, connectivity. I love webs. I love knowing that things are connected. It's like this huge, big gossamer, silver and gold glittery web that connects us in so many ways. It just blows my mind. And yet I fall into that wow factor often, synchronicity and coincidences and stuff like that. And so I got to watch over, about 10 odd years, Salome pulling her own little webs of stuff while I was doing my own little webs of connectivity. So there was this sort of parallel pathway that was taking place. And in and amongst having two fabulous daughters and moving around within South Africa, things changed and wasn't part of the same groups. And I landed up going into more birth and pregnancy specific. I was a doula and helped moms, or some moms, birth their babies. And from there, that just magically evolved into my Spirit in Pregnancy and Birth book that I wrote, which was meant to just be a sort of, 1 or 2 pager to give my mom clients with a little bit of information on crystals or a little bit of this and a little bit of that, the goddesses that could support them at their births. And it evolved into a book. And I think that process was really huge for me in integrating and processing my own landing on Earth. I don't think my being received on the Earth plane kind of met up to my expectations, or just my soul's reverence and honoring of things like that. And so I had to go and, through the book and writing the book, kind of integrate and reprocess what reverence and ritual and honoring and limbic imprinting on babies and birth, and also the effect of that on the moms and so on as they parent and intuitively, or either they sit and follow a textbook. It has such huge ramifications. It is just but one day, but in reality the impact of the birth, the consciousness of all of it has quite a huge impact. So my basis was always, I suppose, a sense of, if I can help support moms really harness birth and do fabulous things with it for their little ones, then you've already got a generation growing up that are in a stronger, more held, supported, loving, conscious, creative, what have you, imprint, the mass consciousness that is more conducive towards, I suppose, our humanitarian and kindness. And so that was a big draw card and a big part of why I was part of doula support and wanting to reach moms. And then I kind of moved around and landed up a lot more on my own and not being part of groups as such, which had its own growth curves in the sense of finding, I suppose, more individualized answers to questions that I had, which was also really, really awesome. And then, I kind of got led, Salome and I got led back to each other, and in a sort of web and a caring for each other and supporting one another. That's where I came into Earthbody. And it was such a natural flow because I had walked chapters of Earthbody's creation with her. And so I had this understanding, and to be able to come into a finished or a contained and created package was really, really awesome. So that's kind of my story in a bit of a nutshell, and how I got to Earthbody.
So am I right in thinking then that Salome is actually the founder of Earthbody?
Correct. Salome created and founded Earthbody. Unfortunately, she has passed. In fact, a big part of why Earthbody came into being was Salome's own process of integrating and joining dots, there's those webs again, joining dots between her physical health. She did suffer from lupus, so she had quite a few health challenges, and pinpointing, you know, obviously wanting to heal them, but pinpointing and understanding where they're coming from, what are they about, what are the belief systems behind them, what is my body saying to me, what is the communication that is going on here, that I'm experiencing things so physically. And Salome was a geologist, and so she lived and breathed this embodiment, the physical part of Mother Earth, you know, the rocks, the crystals, the actual tangible, pick up the soil part of Mother Earth. And Salome herself was a very, very mothering, beautiful, supportive, just a compassionate, mothering kind of person. She was generous and kind and caring. So she embodied a lot of Mother Earth, Gaia type of energy herself. It was clearly her vibration. And so Earthbody became that expression of her doing her personal journey with her physical ailments and managing the disease of lupus, and then being able to provide a tool that kind of takes the mind-body connection of what is your body saying to you to another level. It now includes Mother Earth's language, or Mother Earth's ground, what we call ground support, through her human body grid that is on the earth. So if I can kind of veer a little bit off of there, to try and help explain that grid for those that are watching, that know about chakras, that know about energy centers. You may have come across, or I'll let you in on this little secret, that the entire earth is covered with those same energy centers and chakras too. So for instance, as Salome kind of received it and worked through it, she has the United Kingdom as the crown chakra. And South Africa as a country is the base chakra. But what was interesting in Salome's research, because she was a very, very spiritual scientist, she held both of these fabulous left and right brain fields within her. She found that you would also find chakras within chakras. And incredibly, she could see, if you had to think of the shape of a fetus, and in fact, can I just reach behind me quickly? I don't know why, but you'll see the shape of Africa, the continent. And if you use your creative brain, you might be able to see the shape of a fetus that sits within the continent. And Salome had an experience, I think it was in the Seychelles once, where she looked down and she saw one of those Nautilus shells in the sand. And that's where she saw kind of a vision of an embryo within that spiral sort of shape. And was then kind of recognizing that obviously there are the chakra points within that shape. So she applied it to the world. She applied it to Africa. Okay, this was not sort of obviously a topographical map type of thing, but South Africa sits down in the bottom here. And if you had to see that shape, you would again be able to see the shape of the fetus. Situated in the reverse, doing a little bit of a sort of a foot or end of the fetus, kind of going up in that direction. And then as she looked within and she plotted again the chakras going from the crown down to the base, and that then meant that Cape Town, the city of Cape Town, the mother city, became the crown, and Johannesburg held the base chakra for South Africa. So then she realized within each country you have the chakras, and it just went in, and the spiral formation or the fetal shape, that golden ratio became the golden child, which is the golden expression that we find coming more and more into the sort of Christed consciousness. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. And so that is what she worked with in the chakras. So on the Earthbody website, she has quite an extensive section on chakras because they held such a big part of that human body grid. So like with the fetus, we would be able to see base all the way up through to the crown chakra. Those energy centers are connected to body parts, to different organs within the body. So she had this wisdom and knowledge in any case. And then on a particular day, she happened to have one of her geology textbooks out and saw the Eye of Horus actually laid out on what is called the dome in Johannesburg in South Africa. And it's a dome in the geological sense that it holds certain metals and so on, and is well known for that. But she saw this eye, and that immediately, again, all those webs and connectivity connected her to understanding that there is this sort of human chakra energy center form within. And if you go and look at iridology, like reflexology, it reflects everything. So a big part of the teachings that Salome and I enjoyed, there was a lot of emphasis on recognizing the macrocosm and the microcosm. So we were already in that sort of mindset of what is happening inside of you, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. You can and will be, if you're open to it and you're aware and your heart is open, see that expression of what's going on inside of you happening outside of you, maybe in world events, possibly in your own personal life, perhaps in relationships that you are in the workspace and so on. So this macrocosm microcosm spoke to Salome, and that's where she plotted, using the iridology, plotted the human organs, because now she had the understanding behind the energy centers, the chakra points, and was then able to recognize the organs. Using the iridology eye map, then she could locate on the actual human body of the earth your different organ that you live in. And so with that just opened up a whole bunch of possibilities. When she was living in the kidney of the urinary system, she was having a lot more bladder issues and problems than she had in another location. And so that is where she started to recognize that there were medical possibilities for helping people uncover some of their illnesses on a physical level, in understanding why perhaps those things are manifesting, why perhaps when you go on a holiday to a new location, you might walk into that place and get ill and feel really grotty and just think, what the hell, I'm meant to be having a great time and I'm ill and sick and maybe digestive issues or what have you. If you had to go plot that, you might possibly find the organ or the system of the body you're in, there is a relationship there, and it's highlighting things for you. Alternatively, you might go and visit somewhere and you just feel so aligned and you feel energized, and you can feel that you're more of yourself. And maybe if you have been ill, suddenly that illness, whatever it might be, disease, is not so front of focus, or it's not showing all of its symptoms or something like that. And that's pretty powerful for those of us that like to ask questions, that we want to know why am I ill all the time, or why am I struggling with this home that I live in? My children are fighting and my husband is ratty and things are not making sense, and my business was doing so well, but ever since I've moved here, I've got no clients and things are going down. Or that those of us that perhaps like to dig a little bit deeper into understanding connectivity behind my internal know thyself and what I'm seeing and experiencing and feeling outside of me. And so, Mother Earth has done an incredible, just an incredible gift to be able to give us that ground support. So when you are in a location, your home, your holiday place, your favorite country or what have you, she is giving you opportunity, whether you feel ill and things come up, or whether you're feeling fabulous. She's communicating to you. She's letting you know stuff. And invariably what that stuff is our own belief systems. Those internal limiting trip us up, challenging things that we don't always recognize without a little bit of a dig and a scratch and help me get there, help me understand what is it trying to communicate to me. So in using Earthbody, I see the tool as one that is for those sort of explorers, those curious, those people that know that to change a situation, shift the outside world to make it the peace, the joy, the success, or whatever it is that you as an individual are striving for. You've got to be going in. You've got to be understanding how that is talking to you. And then when you lining that up, or when you're having little light bulb moments, or you're connecting your own understanding of that communication, that body, mind, and in this case, earth too, communication that's happening all the time, there's like feedback mechanism available to you, then you can change perspectives. You can shift your focus. You can, with that awareness and with that recognition of what you may be stumbling over, or maybe what's not such a strong, let's say, thing for you, a talent, you're able to choose differently. So when you can see differently, you can choose differently. And when we choose differently, I don't know, we're abundantly prosperous, we're giving back to ourselves. But the more we give back to ourselves, believe it or not, that prosperity just emanates, it just flows, it just keeps expanding. And so we've got Mother Earth giving us ground support. But when we're doing all of that fabulous inner seeking and inner knowledge, we're supporting her and her entire population, all the different kingdoms, the animals, the plant kingdom. We're giving back to life, and that is really, really, I don't know, I love it. It's fabulous.
That is very obvious.
Good.
So just briefly going back to the chakras, for those who are thinking, yeah, what, where? Base chakra is classed as our first chakra, and is basically at the base of our coccyx, the very base of our spine. And the chakras then go up our spine. So when you were talking about the fetus,
yes,
and obviously you were talking about the crown first, so that's the top of the head, then going down, yes, obviously with the third eye, but then going down the spine to the base chakra. So, and obviously within South Africa, the head is there and then coming round again. And exactly. So that is why it was the two cities you were talking about.
Exactly, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
And it's incredible to see that a little shift and a little bit of creative perception of things, you could see these little embryos kind of within everything. And it's incredible because it just becomes this confirmation back that we all have a place here on Earth. Humans, whatever you think of us, we're here and we're engaging and we're part of it. And the Earth is us and we are the Earth. So it becomes reassuring, actually, I find, that we have our place here.
Yeah. And I was thinking about the yin-yang symbol, because actually, to a certain degree...
Same shaping. Mm-hmm.
You've got the same shaping.
Absolutely.
So, and you're talking about a place that absolutely lifts you. And oh boy, I found that. Beautiful little village in Switzerland called Grindelwald. And for those people who watch Harry Potter, yes, it's called Grindelwald, but they've used she's obviously was aware of it, but it's in this series, it's called Grindelwald. So
say it like it's
spelled, but no, it's said. But so no, and that was just a place that the minute I got the second time of going, the minute we got on the train to head for it, I just felt the weight of the world lift off me.
It's incredible. When you said the name, I mean, I've still got them. There's just angel bumps everywhere. It's quite interesting. And I'm actually curious to go and see what body part Grindelwald is.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you roughly where it is. It's just above Interlaken.
Okay.
Switzerland. Interlaken is two lakes, between two lakes, and that's Lake Thun and Lake Brienz. But that's
No, but that's fantastic. It's fantastic because you recognize that you could feel what I would call an alignment. Everything just is how it could be and should be. A beautiful expression of you being human in a place on earth, in nature, just absorbing whatever the energy and ley lines and whatever else was there. You could feel it. You were awake to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that is a village that is at the foot of the Schreckhorn, the Wetterhorn, and the Eiger.
Wow.
So
okay, power.
Absolutely beautiful. But anyway, let's get back to
it's a fabulous example.
Yeah, but let's get back to, and I'm hoping to get back there at some stage. We were meant to be going back there, and then COVID hit. We'd actually got it booked. Never mind. So going back to Earthbody, and I suppose, is that why the word body comes in? Because of that fetal? That was just something that sort of popped into my head.
Absolutely. So there's recognition for our, again, that reflection, that microcosm, macrocosm. We are looking at ourselves when we are looking at the earth. You're describing mountains and lakes. You can break it down into understanding the elements. So mountains are earth. So you would be looking, if you have an interest in astrology, you would be understanding earth through the 3 earth signs, for instance. Or if your exposure to the elements is understanding that water and lakes are part of your emotional body, your emotional expression, then you have another understanding of earth and how she talks, but also how she reflects you. So for instance, a location that is, I don't know, high up in the Himalayas and is icy and cold, and if you understand that the element of water is a symbol of your emotional being, you can understand that it's quite isolated, pun intended. It's cold. It can leave you, your emotions are cold and perhaps can fracture quite easily, like a shard of ice breaking. So we begin to see ourselves reflected in things that are, we call them the earth, or we call them the planet that we live on, or whatever your mother earth, Gaia, so on. But she's constantly showing us and telling us that we're symbiotic. What we do impacts her and vice versa. I think the difference is as that sort of mother figure, she's got a little bit more awareness of how to hold us than we do as yet how to hold her. And so tools like this, in my perspective, again, elevate an awareness and an appreciation for life force and us living on this planet and taking care of each other and taking care of her. So it doesn't have to just be as sort of, let's say, simplified as, okay, I like this place and my home is fabulous and so on. It can become your own sort of a reverence and an honoring of giving back. This location, my home, if I'm taking care of it, if I'm keeping its vibe high, if I'm mindful of who and what I let into it, it's like tending my own little garden. It's like it's my own little business. It's my gift back to keeping a vibration high. Yes, it's one teeny tiny spot on Mother Earth, but it's kind of the little spot I've been given the privilege of taking care of. So then I want to rise to that. I want to be able to, okay, cool, let me make this a good vibe. Let me make it a valuable little back to the earth. And again, therein we just spiral and expand and send all of this fabulous personal growth that actually becomes a mass consciousness growth and gifting and abundance. Yeah, and I've recently, just as sort of as a, kind of looking at the Earthbody side of things, understanding I've recently just moved. So whilst I've stayed in the same town and city, I've actually gone from one suburb to another suburb. And I've moved from being in the skin, which is a sensory organ, into an ovary, which is obviously the reproductive system. And so my whole mindset has changed or shifted in terms of looking at my personal belief systems, because now I have the recognition and understanding that that has happened for a reason. So being in the skin, for instance, I realized how sensitive I am to my environment and how I have to really work hard at boundaries. That's the skin. The boundaries, our skin is our boundary between us, all of us, and the external world. And so I was very mindful of that and staying, I don't say protective, but staying kind of just honoring myself, looking after myself. But again, bringing back to my environment this privilege of I want to do good. I want to give back to my environment in a good way. And now, having moved out of that sort of skin sensitivity or boundaries sort of topic, I've moved into the ovaries. And that, as part of the endocrine system, alerts me to being mindful of my immunity, my strengthening of my my own inner resolve. Not so much with boundaries, but in balance. And again, a little bit more of if you know anything about the endocrine system, so we've got all the hormones from the pituitary gland and thyroid and so on. They also harmonize. They've got to work in sync. If one is a little bit out, then the others have to work a little bit harder to try and get the whole system back into sync. And so my awareness of how I process life and my daily challenges, I'm now doing with a completely different hat on. I've now put the ovary hat on, the endocrine system hat on. And that's really beneficial because it allows me to elevate an awareness of how and where and what and why. That I just wanted to share that because it's just been a recent change. And even with my experience of Earthbody and having known about it and experienced it for so long, it was quite crazy, so distinctly taking that hat off and being able to go, okay, cool, those belief systems and perhaps obstacles in my mind that were limiting me, I've now been able to put to rest. That little chapter is no longer required. I've got now other interesting stuff to go and look at and work through and deal with. But yeah, it was quite a distinct change.
No, thank you for sharing. And when you sort of mentioned about the mountains and Earth and the 3 Earth signs, yeah, that's me. I'm Taurus, so I'm an Earth sign.
Another Taurus.
And my parents were both Earth signs as well, so it was the 3 Earth signs.
Fabulous.
Let's get back. So yeah, I think it's just understanding that, and I think actually my Chinese sign is also Earth as well. So I'm very earthy.
I hear you.
Right. Okay. Obviously, this is fascinating. This is brilliant. What we haven't got masses of time left, but what I thought was, because I know we talked about this beforehand, was could you just share, especially with what you've been sharing, you've got the website I know to hand so that you can do a screen share, and folks, yes. Obviously, if you can enlarge your screen so that you can see this as best you can, we'll obviously share it as best we can. And maybe just pick, and I'll move those. Thank you. Let's put those there. Just pick 1 or 2. Folks, go to the website, do check it out. But what Colette's going to do is just share a couple of bits that you can go and check out. And then that's just as an introduction, and then we can take it from there. So I'll hand back over to you, Colette.
Perfect. So, okay, I've decided to just share some of the let's go with the free stuff, because that's always fun to try out things. I made the reference or the example of Tibet, for instance, or the Himalaya mountains, and being able to look at something and then analyze it in a way and see what it's telling you about your own your own moment in time. And Earth Life Reflections is exactly that. And in fact, it grew from Salome having created cards for every country in the world. And in each of those cards, there was a history of, it's water, is it landlocked? Does it have lots of lakes and rivers? There was also a reference to, is it a war-torn area? How does it treat its women? The culture of that particular country. Just all these different components that she shared for each country. And that's where the Earth Life Reflections came out of. And when you go into this section, you can pick and choose one. So you would click on, okay, in this case, the moment in time. And this you would be using or pulling this card to look at your vitality now. How you kind of feeling in the moment? Are you sort of up and strong and where you are at? So you would click on view study. Let's see if my internet wants to do a little bit of a slow vibe here. Why is this not doing? Oh my gosh. There we go. Okay, so you then would have a whole little write-up as to what that particular study is helping you with. And you would then be able to shuffle the cards, and you see the cards in front of you. And you can sort of move them around, you can shuffle them again. But anyway, you would then, I'm going to go with this one. Oh, whoops, I didn't select that, sorry. There we go. Oh, now, I'm going to be really honest, never heard of it before. But anyway, Tajikistan, alrighty. So then it would bring up, like I said to you, there's geography, there's history. So there's all these different parts of that particular country that I could then look at. Oh, look at this. At this moment in time, my resilience and vitality, only 37%. My thoughts, structured, efficient, and aware, but at worst, misunderstood, unstable, and conflicting. Interesting. Anyway, that's just an example of what those Earth Life Reflections can guide you with, or kind of provide little inspirations if you're wanting to, just tap in or sort of tune into yourself. These are fabulous opportunities to do that. Sorry that this internet connection seems so slow, but let's go back. Another one, for instance, here is the Wonder Woman one, which is one that I have a soft spot for. It is looking at a country's attitude, cultural placing of women within that society. So, for instance, here it asks you to connect and just take a nice deep breath, exactly like you would with normal oracle cards. And you can pick and choose, and I'm going to pick that one. And my clicking is not happening. Let's try this again. Oh, another interesting country. And so there, as I look at the geography and the setup and the cultural aspects of this particular country, I'm able to understand perhaps challenging, for instance, or limiting belief systems that I might be having in the context of the, let's call it, gender equality or gap, or maybe, for instance, raising young daughters. I'm often faced with an awareness of gender issues are not equal when it comes to male and female, and so quite frequently I can, I suppose, get a little bit, I want better for females and women. So those topics are often top of mind. So I could look at this and start questioning where do I see the role. Okay, in this country, it gives me the actual information, but you could apply it to your own country, or you could apply it to your own home and space, or the people around you. How do they treat their women? How are women economically rewarded versus men? So again, it's all interesting, insightful stuff that just helps you look at and figure out kind of where you are in any moment in time. But if you're wanting to rather look at your physical location as opposed to, let's say, a more emotional and energy kind of place in this moment in time where you're at, you could go onto the sample Earthbody readings, and you would be able to, let's put in your, I hope my spelling is right here. Let's give it a bash. Almost right. I needed an A. And see what that comes up with, and we'll actually know which organ and body part. And so this is just a sampling of being able to see what your location is. Oh gosh, okay, lymphatic and cardiovascular function. That's the circulatory system. So that tells me that you're in the heart chakra when you're in your favorite spot in Switzerland, Sarah. So that doesn't surprise me that you felt such such fabulousness. Obviously, everything was aligning, and the heart chakra, as I understand it and experience it, is the one chakra that influences all of the others. The others kind of pair up. Your crown and your base, for instance, pair up, and your third eye and your sacral pair up. But the heart chakra energetically impacts on all of the other 6. So yeah, so that's interesting. So there you've got just a little bit of information as to that particular location. Obviously, if you wanted to go and do a specific reading, you would then just click on the reading modules. And here you would be able to see, sorry for the slowness, so much for that fast Wi-Fi. You then can choose specific parts of Earthbody that you're wanting to understand: business, career, wealth. And I just want to, before I finish off, I just want to briefly say there's the part here with everyday readings, which are specific to the location you're choosing to do a reading on. But then there are 2 other parts. One is annual. Those readings you can do, every year to sort of see where you are on your kind of internal journey. But then there's also the lifetime readings, which you only need to do them once. They are applicable to you forever and a day. So those ones, but they also include partnership, marriage, wealth, career. So they look similar, but they're not specific to a location. They're specific to your birth placements. So yeah, that's that little bit of sharing that hopefully gives a little bit of a teaser or a little bit of guidance as to what the Earthbody website looks like, but also what it can gift you.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. And I know that there's certainly pages that are free for people to visit, and then there are other aspects that are, there are payments required. So yes, obviously the suggestion to everybody is, sort of go and make the most of it.
Be curious.
It's take a look for yourself, see what speaks to you. And that would definitely be the suggestion I would make. We are coming to a close, but before we finish, is there anything that you feel that you haven't mentioned yet that you would like to share?
Perhaps just in my personal capacity is to just say to you, be curious, stay curious. With Earthbody, yes, of course, I'd love you to go and enjoy the website and let it serve you and let it be ground support for you. But I think just in general, in these times of growth and challenge and change, I would just reach out and say, stay curious and eager to know yourself so that you can be your best expression, and we all help each other creating good and fabulous and kindness and abundance and prosperity and joy for all of us to live within, and then have expressed outside of us too.
No, thank you so much. And obviously, if you're sort of on the website and you've sort of got yourself a reading and you're struggling with it and you're not sure whether you're understanding it, then connect with Colette.
With pleasure. I love hearing feedback, and also only too happy to either give you a little bit of a sort of intuitive unpacking of a reading if there's parts that you're not quite sure what that means in your context. Let's talk. I'm listening.
And the website address is www.earthbody.co.
Yes, just the CO, all on its own. Yes.
So go and check it out. Now, for those of you watching the video on YouTube, I will make sure that that is underneath the video, so you haven't got to remember what's just been said. Hopefully you'll just be able to click on the link.
Fabulous.
Colette, thank you so much for sharing. Now, I know, folks, that this may appear to have been a repeat, but obviously, as we only got 19 minutes of a 50-minute program last time that was actually recorded, and you know, my feeling is that we've been able to, in a different way, we've been able to share so much more this time, because we don't practice these.
No.
These actually, no, these really are done intuitively. We go with the flow. You know, there are no set questions, there are no set answers. So I hope that you've enjoyed this program. I hope that you will investigate further, not just what Colette does, but everything else that Gift of Healing TV shares. Please, that's why we share it. And Colette, thank you so very much. Next week, I know this has been done as an extra, and it's at 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. But next week, we're back to our normal time of Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. UK time, which is where I am, which is why it is at that time. And I'm going to be doing today's conversation. And I've flipped past the one I'm really meant to be doing. Okay. So I'm not doing a taste conversation. That's happening tomorrow night. I'm doing a thoughtful nuggets and pearls. I'm getting so confused. Do you really hear what others say? And I know I have started to learn to really listen, because that was part of the conversation we were having before we started, wasn't it? It's about really being able to listen to what people are saying. Absolutely. And realizing that actually we're not so different. We just express ourselves differently. So I'll be sharing on that. Colette, thank you. It has been a real pleasure. I'm sure we'll speak again soon. In the meantime, folks, take care, be safe, stay well. Love, peace, and light to you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers.